Good morning everybody and welcome back to the channel. So as you can see behind me is our drainage contractor. So last year we filmed it where it was beginning to cut a gully. So here you can see the channel developing, coming down through the middle of the dog. We are on a slight hillside, but not really much at all. We have some no, I thought it might be clover. It's just a bit of weed, and then we come out to here and you can see where the topsoil has washed out. It's actually quite sandy, but it terminates here in this sort of taller cover crop, bit of pooling here, but doesn't seem to be carrying any topsoil out of my hand, which is reassuring. But that is why I'm very concerned about runoff in this situation. And in fact, we're looking this week at having a drainage engineer come in. It's not a very big field, but I'm so embarrassed by this, putting a drainage scheme in here to try and put this underground. Wanted to kind of go through this and explain. Really, this probably isn't economic, but to be fair, it's on my morning dog walk. It's pretty close to my house and I find it very frustrating. So hence why we're doing this properly. To make me feel a little bit better, my neighbour pointed out that he owns the fields or farms the fields either side of this particular field, and he said that he's got a spring either side. So we think that this is a spring line, and that actually we're picking up this field picks up additional springs that are on the same level as his fields either side. So that kind of explains the complexity. The drainage contractor is having a little bit of an issue here, because when I did a barn conversions, we piped in mains water to the barn conversions, and it cuts across this field. So we're having to trench underneath the water supplies without cutting it with a trencher. So there's a little bit of finesse going on now. And let's nip down to the outfall and we'll explain some other issues we're having at the other end. So here we are at the outfall, and as you can see, it is already running well. So it's worth an additional bit of history. When my grandfather bought this farm, this particular field was not part of the title. We actually bought this later on, even though it's sort of my farm completely surrounds this field and it's like a horseshoe, but we didn't buy the bit in the middle. So my father bought this at about sort of 40 years ago. He filled in the horseshoe. So this field, we have drained the fields either side but not the bit in the middle, so we're just filling that in. There are a number of challenges in this field. So we've already talked about them having to sort out the water main feeds over there, but also we would normally drain to the corner of the field, but there's an electric pole here, and I'm sure you can see it's got the red mains wire running up the top, and the feed comes in through the corner of the field. So it starts, the wire comes up and up the pole, so it means that we can't discharge in the corner. So we've come in a bit, and one that we were doing a survey, I'm not sure if the camera will pick it up, but the field actually dips down from both sides into this section in the middle. So we've actually put a main drain up the middle of the field here to try and pick up that low point. And interestingly, the contractors were saying that when they trenched this, there was no subsoil, it was all topsoil, as if it had been some sort of historical ditch. It hasn't, it wasn't a ditch in my, my living memory. It's always been part of this field, so it's not like we filled in anything. It is, or it hasn't been done in my lifetime. So we've run a main ditch up here, and then we're going to work a few laterals out this side, and then there'll be laterals running up the field this way, in order that we can mole plough up and down the hill when we finally get there. So I'll put the drainage plan on the screen so you can see how the laterals work versus the main drain. And just for those of you who don't have to invest in drainage, how it works is that your main drain in general doesn't have gravel on it, but the laterals do, and you can run the main drain will go with the slope, obviously, even though this is laser leveled, so the trencher can work out its level, and then you mole plough with the slope, so that up and down the slope, so that the water runs down the mole by gravity and into the laterals, which have a gravel surface, and then into the plastic pipe, and then hopefully out onto the ditch. So we'll catch up with some more drainage. Where it's collapsed.